Peeling bonded leather. I normally won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. It's much easier to find a nice piece of real leather furniture and restore it. It'll last you 20 years. But a lot of people do want to try to work with this existing material. I think your starting point is to peel off the unstable stuff. And then, of course, bear in mind that it just keeps going and going. These seams are really hard to work with. If you can avoid messing with those, that's great, because anything you get in here is going to tend to obscure that seam, and then it'll look patched. So this side, I'm going to work with our soft filler. The professional way to repair this is to shore up this fabric substrate with a filler compound and essentially create a new vinyl surface. But you want to be careful not to get too much of this on the existing coating, because that's the stuff that is unstable. So if you add more weight to that, it may actually take your repair with it, at least wherever they overlap. But of course, to get a good repair, there needs to be some overlap sometimes to create, to blend. All right, and this stuff cures up pretty quickly. So keep the container closed. Start at the seam. You always want to work away from the seam and not drag compound into the seam. And I broke my own rule coming toward the seam, but I laid off at the last minute, and you can come back and use your palette knife or fingernail and trace in that seam, and then just kind of feather your edges. So the soft filler took about 20 minutes to cure in the sun. I'm going to do one final pass. I should say that I broke my own protocol, screwed up, did not clean the surface first. Now, you don't really need to clean the fabric. In fact, you don't want to get the fabric wet. That's going to alter the filler's ability to cure. And I was very careful not to get it on this perimeter yet. But now that I'm going to do some blending and some texturizing, that's probably going to happen. So I'm going to come in and give everybody a wipe around the fabric or on the polyurethane coating of the bonded leather, and that'll evaporate quickly. And I'll go a little more into this area for the Flex Seal in just a minute. Let this dry and apply more filler. All right, clean up the seam. I'm going for a plastic glove. Piece of saran wrap would also work. And emboss the filler, create some chaos, add some texture. And take a lot of care to feather on the edges. And you just want to, again, you want to minimize what you get on this bonded leather because it's such an unstable material to begin with. Okay, this second pass is curing very quickly. It's almost there. I'm going to continue. I still have some flappy bits, so I'm going to ready myself for the experiment with the Flex Seal. So a nod to the gals at Heirloom Paint Traditions. They came up with the technique of using a rubberized coating like Flexol, and I guess Flex Seal is kind of a knockoff on that, and that's what I was able to find locally. And it's this pretty gnarly coating. You would not want to use it inside an enclosed space. So if you're having to do this on your sofa, you do want to take it outside, which is not the case with the soft filler or with our paints. So, and you have to let it cure longer in between. I'm going to recoat this fabric and hopefully shore up these edges with this rubberized coating. So you can see that the fabric really took it unevenly, drank it up. I need lots more coats on this, but I really want to avoid getting too much on that. So I'll just mask that. I should have done that the first round. And they say to wait 24 to 48 hours between coats. And that's probably a wise idea. I have completed several coats on this, waiting at least a full day in between. After the first coat, I gently hand sanded this to get off the burrs and then did a few more layers. You can still see a silhouette. The texture is definitely superior with the soft filler, but on this tricky seam, for example, the Flex Seal was great. I did lay it in here too thickly and had to cut that, or rather trace through it with my smoothing card to preserve this line, not to make it look patched. And I'm ready to paint now and proceed with our experiment. So I'm going to work with a damp sponge and our cherry wood color. So I've done my cherry wood base. Bonded leather, I've noticed, almost always has a lustrous finish and needs some of our clear. So I'm actually going to do a glaze with the mahogany, which is a darker, more brown version of cherry wood. I'm going to do a drizzle of that on there and a big squirt of clear. And we're now going to take this for a 2 to 4 month test drive. And as you can see, our chair has not fared so well. This belongs to a friend who wears a pocket knife, and the clip of that pocket knife was the cause of the start of the original damage in these two areas, but also re-damaged our repairs. But as you can see, this material is continuing to delaminate elsewhere. And so my verdict is, do not waste your time or your money attempting to repair this, short of scraping away every square inch and recoating it with a fabric paint. It's destined for the garbage. So my recommendation is to hit the estate sales, check out Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, and look for real leather furniture. It will often have telltale signs of fading and discoloration, uneven appearance, oil stains or watermarks, and it will restore beautifully. And because it's real skin, there's no reason it won't last 20, 30 years. And if you're free always to send us links to the listings or photographs if you have any doubt, and we can often discern and give you some helpful advice. Thanks for watching.